Hey guys, my name is Chanel Nielsen, and I help moms with an online business to organize their day so they can find balance between their family and their personal goals. So, this is something that I love to do, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to celebrate your progress and actually feel good about where you are and where you're going. And you will be surprised about the big difference that this makes in your future progress, in just how you're feeling about your life and your motherhood day to day. So, the biggest thing that you can do to make a change in this right now is to start measuring what Dan Sullivan calls measure the gain and not the gap. So, we often have a tendency to do the opposite. And I'm going to use an example. So, when I was podcasting, I would set goals of, how many people I wanted to listen, or maybe I would set goals of how many people I wanted on social media or whatever. Usually it was for me with the podcast, I didn't focus too much on social media. I focused a lot on how many people are actually listening to this podcast, right? So I would set a goal and then, maybe I would make it most of the way to that goal, but what I was seeing and what I was focusing on is, let's say I had a goal, to increase my downloads from 10,000 to 15,000 downloads that week or that month or whatever. And I would look at, well, I only had 12,000 downloads. As opposed to, oh my gosh, I had 2,000 more downloads this week than I did last week. That is measuring what we want to do is measure the gain, and that's saying I improved by this much, as opposed to measuring the gap. When we measure the gap, we're always going to come out behind. We're always going to see what we're lacking, and it's really not a good feeling. We feel discouraged, we feel disheartened, we feel like, I'm not even making it, I'm not even going anywhere, right? I have a little story. This is from Matthew O. Richardson. He said, many years ago, my children and I hiked to the top of South Sister, a 10,358-foot mountain in Oregon. After several hours, we encountered a long 45-degree slope of tiny volcanic pebbles. With the summit in sight, we pressed on, only to find that with every step, our feet would sink in the pebbles, causing us to slide backwards several inches. Fatigue and discouragement soon set in. After what seemed like an eternity, we made it to the top of the mountain. I know that your quest to improve may seem overwhelming at times. Please do not become discouraged with your progress. I think back on my experience hiking with my children. We agreed that every time we stopped to catch our breath, rather than focusing exclusively on how much farther we needed to go, we would immediately turn around and look down the mountain. We would take in the scenery and say to each other, "Look how far we've come." Then we would take a deep breath, quickly turn, face uphill, and start climbing again, one step at a time. That is the idea here. Look how far you've come. Measure that. Measure where you used to be compared to where you are now. That's the only meaningful measurement, because you're actually measuring your progress. And that's the only measurement that's going to allow you to celebrate and to feel good about your progress. When you feel good about that progress, that's when you're going to keep making progress. Um, just one other thought here is, if sometimes not only are we not measuring our progress, we're looking on a different mountain and measuring someone else's progress. Have you ever done that? You're like, oh, well, her podcast just reached 1 million downloads. Mine isn't anywhere close to that. And then we feel discouraged on a race we're not even running. That's not even the progress we should be looking at. That comparison also leads us to discouragement and not to feel good about our own progress. So focus on where you've been compared to where you are now. And it can be really helpful to write it down. So at the beginning of each, so in 90-day increments, I do this and I write down, where am I now? Here's what I'm working on. Here's the struggle right now. Here's what's hard for me right now. In 90 days, when I look at that and I compare, oh my gosh, that was hard for me 90 days ago. Look at where I am now. And I can celebrate how far I've come. when we're living it, it doesn't always feel easier, right? It doesn't feel like, oh, I've made so much progress. I'm just moving along and I'm feeling great. Often we don't um, feel that until we see where we started at, and then we can see the progress. And so I encourage you to do that. Another way to celebrate progress is by celebrating even the tiniest win. And this idea comes from BJ Fogg. So, BJ Fogg is a researcher who talks about habits, and I love his work on habits. One of the things that he talks about is when you want to create a habit, the most important thing to making sure that this habit sticks is to celebrate it, because when you celebrate it, that determines how you feel about this habit. So, he gives an example. He wanted to be better about flossing his teeth. And so he decided to just every night floss one tooth. And when he would floss that one tooth, he would do a little victory dance. Woo, I flossed my teeth. He's all excited. I flossed my tooth. He only flossed one tooth, but he celebrated. Well, what happens mentally when we celebrate, when we feel good about something we do, we want more of that. Our brain was like, oh, that was a good thing that I flossed my tooth. I want to do that again. And that encouraged him the next night to floss his one tooth again, and the next night, and the next night. And eventually, he started flossing more than one tooth, but every time he celebrated it. When we do that in our own lives, when we celebrate even the tiniest victory, I played cars with my son for 1 minute today. Like, that's a victory. Like, yes, I played with him. He enjoyed that. We spent time together. Woohoo, I did that. Celebrating that makes me want to do it again. It's just, we allow ourselves to feel good. How often do we do the opposite? Oh my gosh, I could only last for 1 minute playing cars with my son. I'm the worst mom. Cars are the worst. Whatever that is, but that beating ourselves up does the exact opposite of what we want it to do. So celebrate your progress, even when it's small. Celebrate those victories, even when they're small. So, the final takeaway I just want you to think of is reinforce the good. Whatever good you do, reinforce it. Look how far you've come. Celebrate how far you've come. Be glad that you are doing any little thing at all and making progress. And that will make a difference and will help you to continue to move towards those big goals. It'll help you stop beating yourself up. It'll help you see the positive. So, as always, you can reach out, send me a message if this stood out to you. Let me know what stood out, or if you have any questions. Um, we can also get a call scheduled to see if you are a good fit for coaching. And I would love to work with you and to know if you have any questions about that. So reach out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.